Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. We'll start with the lecture.
He's been publishing
It's not audible, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Bindu magazine, and it comes from Bindu magazine. This list, I mean, it's there in the book, but I found out about it through Madhavananda's publication. It's same this one.
Yes,
Prabhu,
Prabhu.
I think you're not sharing the audio of the computer. Instead, you're sharing only when you unmute, we can hear.
Yes, Mataji.
Seniority is by knowledge. Among Kshatriyas, by valor. Among Vaishyas, by grains and riches. And among Shudras, alone it is by age. So we respect those that are seniors, and according to these different distinctions. Everyone is to be respected, and respect that is appropriate according to one's position. These are different positions, at least according to their occupation, their varna. Chanakya Pandit, how many times, if I had a penny for every time Prabhupada quoted this verse, I'd be a rich man. Matravat paradareshu para dravyeshu loshtravat atmavat sarvabhuteshu ya pashyati sa panditaha. A pandita, a learned person, is one who considers another's wife as his mother, matravat paradareshu, other's wife, that means anyone other than one's own wife, is mother. And that mothers are to be respected. So that's an assumption, but mothers are to be respected. So any woman is mother to be respected. Possessions of others, like a lump of dirt or something discarded, a piece of garbage on the street. Supposing, another translation is like pebbles in the street. Supposing we're walking out of the clubhouse here, we see a pebble on the sidewalk. Oh, there's a pebble on the sidewalk. I'm looking, I'll put it in my pocket. We don't get excited about pebbles in the street or a lump of dirt. So rather, you know the explanation that Prabhupada gives. If you find, it's one thing, you pocket it. Another thing is you walk along because it's not yours. Another thing is you find out who it belongs to. Civilized people do that. And those that aren't so civilized, they do other things. They're interested in renunciation, or they're interested in coveting the property of others. But a learned person doesn't covet the property of others. It's the property of others. Ultimately, the property of the Supreme. So it's not mine. And so I don't covet it. I don't desire it, to possess it, control it. And treats all the living beings as he would himself. So this is a universal teaching. This is Chanakya Pandit. But I went through the trouble one time of gathering references from cultures all over the world, because it's abundantly available on the web. where the statement, love thy neighbor as thyself, biblical saying. Some of you may not know that one. Some of you know that one. Love thy neighbor as thyself, or treat others as you would have others treat you. The golden rule, do unto others as you would have others do unto you. It's a good rule. It's a universal rule. And all cultures, all religions, all spiritual, all learned persons see that way. So treat others as you would have others treat you. That's a good way to live. We don't always do that. But that's a sign of a learned person. So they respect others, respect property of others, and respect women. And one who respects and respects and respects, that's a learned person. And there's other categories of respect. There's many other categories. We're going to see some of the other ones. Cows, or not just cows, animals, not just cows and animals, all forms of life. Because within every form of life, there's a spirit soul, and wherever there's a spirit soul, there's Paramatma. So respect goes to all living beings, even an ant. We're going to see some of that tomorrow. But that's a way to live. Respect, because it's from Krishna, it's of Krishna, and Krishna is within. Krishna is within every atom, every particle of matter. So it's to be respected. In fundament on a spiritual platform, to be respected. And cows amongst those creatures in the mode of goodness, they're to be respected. Respect nature. Gosh, that's a good one. Rather than respecting nature, the program these days, not just these days, but is to exploit nature, the resources of nature for what? For something for me or mine. So respecting nature has everything to do with respect of God, because nature is God's nature. The Prakriti of Purusha, he is the enjoyer. So it is to be respected. Material nature, not exploited. And all forms of dharma, such as worldly dharma and paradharma. And these are some items where respect is to go. Here's another little list. I'm doing this in the first class because these points will be built upon later in upcoming classes. So this is the kind of foundational, without examples of. Towards the end, a few examples. In Srimad Bhagavatam, we have another nice list. There's this list of 5. The context is Kunti's despondency, and then Kunti's prayers. So what happened this is Canto 1, Chapter 8. Canto 1, Chapter 8 is Kunti's prayers. Celebrated prayers, fantastic prayers. But before she starts her prayers, the chapter begins with, it's just after the Kurukshetra battle has been fought, as the curtain opens, the battle has been fought. And there's the funeral for so many on both sides that are deceased, and grief and wailing and the rituals, and Krishna's there, the Pandavas are there, those who survived the battle, they're there. And everyone is feeling very, very sad. And Krishna speaks in certain ways to pacify those who are grieving. Now, how do you pacify? That's not easy. Try it sometime. It's not easy. It would help somebody not feel so bad, but what do you not feel so bad about? Something that's really horrible that just happened. In the purport, that's the scene. And the headline, did you see, protection should go to those who we respect. Before this is cut and paste from Prabhupada's purport. Before the advent of the age of Kali, the brahmanas, the cows, the women, the children, and the old men were properly given protection. And then he makes a little list. The protection of the brahmanas maintains the institution of varna and ashram, the most scientific culture for attainment of spiritual life. Now, the head is the most important. Without the head, the rest of the body doesn't function properly. So all the parts of the body are important, but the head is most important. The brahmanas give direction to the rest of the social body, how to conduct the arms department, the belly department, the legs department, how to conduct yourselves properly so that there's smooth and proper organization of human society. Brahmanas are necessary. So brahmanas are to be protected because they're so important, and they're respected because they're so important. So brahmanas are protected because it's for the well-being of the entire social body for brahmanas to be protected. Then the protection of cows. And here's a statement that Prabhupada makes that he uses all the time. Protection of cows maintains the most miraculous form of food, namely milk, for maintaining the finer tissues of the brain, for understanding higher aims of life. Now, there may be many reasons why cows should be protected. One that I'm very familiar with, we're probably all very familiar with, why protect cows? Because they have no means of protection. They don't have claws. They don't have teeth. They don't have a mechanism for defending themselves. They're to be protected. And what do? They just give. I mean, they eat grass, which isn't a competition for the rest of us. And it's like they eat grass and give milk. Like, how simple can that be? And what the milk that they give is, Prabhupada says it over and over and over. It's one of those repeated messages, finer brain tissues. So a question came up when we were in Naperville. Is there some modern scientific, verification of that statement, or is it just like a quaint Vedic statement? There's nothing in modern research that shows there's anything to do with milk and the finer brain tissues. The answer is there's abundant, and didn't even have to do some research, because one of the devotees he's a PhD professor at Illinois Institute of Technology in food research. He knows his stuff. And here's what he wrote back to me. He texted me. Numerous scientific studies show that consumption of milk aids in the development of brain, increases neurocognitive development, influences exploratory behavior in those who are consuming milk, provides protection to the brain from certain types of oxidative brain injury, and provides protection against some damages caused by aging and age-related diseases. Now, Prabhupada just summed it up in this, finer brain tissues. And we need some finer brain tissues to understand finer subject matters, because in spiritual life, there's subject matters that are subtle, and it's hard to understand. Drink more milk. I mean, ahimsa milk, please, but it's important. I remember, it was just a standard, something that all of us were to do. Every evening, It was like an ISKCON Hare Krishna ritual. Out comes the big bucket of hot milk, and everyone took some hot milk. And it had to be boiled 3 times. It was whole thing because it wasn't pasture. It was anyway. Prabhupada trained us how to take milk every day, and we were just bare bones budget people, but we had milk every day. Number 3. The topic again at the top is protect those who we respect. So protection of women maintains the chastity of society, by which we can get good generation for peace, tranquility, and progress of life. Now, exploitation goes on without listing the ways that it's prevalent in modern times. It's not just a modern thing, it's a thing. Therefore, in Vedic culture, it was a principle of women also need to be protected because they don't have the defense mechanism to deal with strong men. Unless you're Draupadi, then you can just sock Jayadratha in the jaw and he gets knocked out. She was a tough lady, Draupadi. But normally women aren't expected to be, muscle-bound ladies. They require protection, and protection has its benefit. In principle, society that's chaste rather than exploitative, it's chaste. And with a chaste society, in principle, better future generations. And future generations that are better, tranquility, peace, and progress. By one principle, protection of women. So women are to be protected. In principle. And respected as a result. So now ladies get a special place. There's women are to be mothers, and they're to be protected and respected. The protection of children gives the human form of life its best chance to prepare the way of liberty from material bondage. Now, this is Prabhupada's purport. First canto, he's speaking to the world. He's sitting in his little room in Vrindavan, writing to the world. He knew his audience. They need to know culture. They don't have culture, the culture of respect. Such protection of children begins from the very day of begetting a child by the purificatory process of Garbhadan Sanskar, the beginning of pure life. Now, Prabhupada's sitting in his little room, and is the world going to respect what he's writing? Are they going to are they going to understand what Garbhadan Sanskara means and the importance of it? And it's not just his Hare Krishna followers. There's no followers. It's the world. And sure enough, that the book has been translated in so many languages and so many volumes have been. So it's instructions for the world, for upliftment of the world. Protection, protection, protection. Respect, respect, respect. For building the better future. And finally, the protection of old men gives them a chance to prepare themselves for better life after death. So older people, it's like a lot of people to be protected, but older men, so that they can, when protected and cared for and all of that, at least the opportunity is there that they can go towards the ultimate destination of the soul, from this human form of life to the best destination of the soul. So that's a preliminary, some ground rules for what respect according to one's position. Now, so it's starting with the humans, but then this is going to others than humans, cows for sure. and then women, old men, children in the human form. So for purposes in certain ways. Some of you may not know, but now you can know that for the past 4 years, starting 4 years ago, there's been an experiment in reaching new people in ways that we don't normally reach new people. And it's called a Body, Mind, Spirit Retreat, which can mean anything. Some of you may know when Prabhupada, before he accepted sannyas, he was living in Vrindavan at Radha Vangsi Gopal Temple, which was somebody of an extended family's home. And downstairs was the temple, and upstairs was his little room. And he went to Delhi on a regular basis to do two things: to practice teaching. He was writing, following his spiritual master, in English, Back to Godhead. It was a little publication, a little something that printed and mimeographed and stapled it together. And so he went into Delhi to speak of the message of Lord Chaitanya through the Back to Godhead magazine or publication. And he was also looking for, second reason, he was looking for people that are spiritually minded or pious and could help him in publishing Srimad Bhagavatam and his journey to the West, looking for potential donors, but through the medium of the message and preaching. So in the course of his visits to Delhi, a person he met gave him a flyer from a gentleman in Japan. This is history. And after World War II, during World War II,
Yes, here. Any comments or any question or any appreciation from anyone?
Your voice is a little faint, Guru Prabhu.
Is it better now, Prabhu?
Yes, this is better.
Sorry, Prabhu. Yeah, any comments or any question or any appreciation, anything from anyone? Yes,
Prabhu,
Sharbari
I'd like,
Mataji.
sorry.
Sorry, Prabhu. Yes, Sharbari Mataji, please continue.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. It's a very, very nice lecture, and I particularly liked. Actually, I came to know why cows are given so much of respect. I didn't know. I mean, why cows need to be respected. That logic I liked very much. Thank you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Mataji. Yes, Channakeshwar Prabhu.
Yeah, Hare Krishna, Prabhu. I like this Kunti Maharani prayers, the protection. He mentioned 5 important points about protection for the women's cows and children's and old men and brahmanas in the first part. So the protection of brahmanas is the institution of Varna and Ashrama, the most scientific culture for attaining the spiritual life. That part I like very much, bro. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Yes, Prabhu. Thank you, Prabhu. Yes, Delalit Prabhu. Sorry. Please continue.
No, I like that what Maharaj should, we should protect those who we respect. I think that one line says everything. Thank you.
Yes, Prabhu. Thank you. Rajesh Mataji, do you have anything to mention?
No problem. Thank you.
Thank you, Mataji. Yogalkeshwar Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, I will Maharaj quoted Manu Samhita, and where it is mentioned that one should respect Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra by different means, so or different criteria. So we as a practicing sadhakas here, so we try to be beyond the varna sama dharma. So how do we understand this statement of Manu Samhita, or is it that we follow that as well as respect devotee? I mean, and respecting devotees is okay, but is it something that because there today there is no Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra as a category.
Hare Krishna. Can I say some thoughts on what you said and a little more, Yogalkeshwar Prabhu?
Yes, please, Prabhu.
So, when Maharaj quoted Manu Samhita, he said, amongst Brahmanas, seniority is by knowledge, amongst Kshatriyas, it's by valor, amongst Vaishyas, by grains and riches, and amongst Shudras alone, it is by age. And we find that sometimes we may think that, hey, we are following bhakti, we are beyond this varna and ashrama. My own understanding, after hearing Urmila Mataji's classes on this topic, she has written a book on this. It's Career Dharma. What I find from my understanding from her book is most of us have one or two of these varnas as prominent in our own lives. So there is the person who is in pursuit of either knowledge or information. There are people who are administrators. There are people who like growth. So the Vaishyas are those who like growth. And there are those who are the artists kind. Those are the Shudras. We normally think of Shudras only as laborers, but they are the skilled persons actually. They have some skill with them. And that's how Urmila Mataji puts it. If you see, for example, many people who even within the devotee community, those who run a temple, etc., they are in one sense administrators. There are those who try to even say, today we have one center, we have to build 2 centers, then 5 centers, and come up with something more and more. They have the Vaishya mentality. And there are those who like very, very artistic stuff. We may call it Shudras, the lowest category, etc. But some of the people who have this very artistic mentality, they decorate the temple so nicely. They have very creative ways of doing it. So I find even amongst those who are practicing devotees that everybody has these qualities. And it is imperative that we actually respect each of them, because each of them brings in certain experience, either in devotional service or even outside of devotional service. A person, like say, for example, let's take a Kshatriya, somebody who's doing organizing work. It's not easy to bring 10 people together and do something together. And therefore, they understand the dynamics of human behavior. And more so a person who is trying to serve others on the basis of Shastra. It therefore means that if a person has been successful in organizing people together for a greater cause, he or she has had some connect with the absolute truth in trying to decipher how to impact the hearts of others and at least push and move others towards God. And therefore, they definitely deserve some respect. And there are those who believe that, okay, today I'm having one program, tomorrow I'm going to do 10 other programs, etc. You may call them as the Vaishyas. So, yes, they have also been invested with some form of Krishna Shakti. And as I said earlier, the artist kind too. Like some people are very good in music. Some people are good in performing arts. Some people are good in like even this plumbing and masonry work, etc. So they are able to use the gross and the subtle energies present in this world to do something to offer to the Supreme Lord, and therefore they too deserve our respect. So that's one way I see it, Yugala Kishore Prabhu. Does that help, Prabhu?
Thank you very much, Prabhu. You nicely explained. Um, I have just a follow-up question on that in other way. I mean, same question. So my question was more and
Yugala
age.
Kishore Prabhu,
Now we do not know
I
who is
lost your voice for a second. Your follow-up question
Yes,
was, and
Prabhu.
then I lost your voice. Please tell, Prabhu.
We cannot hear you,
Hare
Prabhu.
Krishna, Prabhu.
Go ahead. Please go ahead, Yugala Kishore Prabhu.
Is it better, Prabhu?
Yes,
Yes, it
Prabhu.
is. Yes,
Yeah, we
please go
can
ahead.
hear.
Okay. So I was just saying that the categorize more like by knowledge, by valor, by grains, riches, and by age. Now we do not know which category one person devotees fall in. So it is better that we respect by all these means to anyone and everyone. Is that I can
No,
generalize
not
this
just
statement because
not not just that. Even if a person is not a devotee, like say for example, I don't know exactly. Let's call Mukesh Ambani or one of those super rich people. He has collected lots of grains and riches. What does it mean? He knows how to take things of this world and multiply it and grow it, etc. He is blessed with an aspect or with an feature of the Supreme Lord. It's not possible. And how did he come to this stage? He came to this stage because he had done some pious activities in the past. Maybe this birth, maybe 10 births before. So by giving respect to such people, we are actually giving respect to two things here. Number one, that God has played a role in their life and that they have served a saintly person or did some pious activities. So by doing that, we're actually respecting Krishna's and Krishna's system of dharma, of piety, of sukriti in this world. And this is one major factor. And the second thing that goes with respect is where there is respect, enviousness comes down. If we don't respect, we we want to have that which the other person has. We want to be the enjoyer of that. It decreases the tendency to be envious. So these are the two aspects. Number one, connecting to the source, even if it is not a devotee, connecting to the source or the person who is bestowing it, which is some sadhu or the Vedic scriptures or the methodology of the Vedic scriptures. Number two, it's our own protection against enviousness.
Thank you, Pro. So both the points are amazing. So in fact, the superset of everything is that those who should Maharaj said we should respect that, and Prakriti should respect. So I think it includes everything. Chara, achara, everything comes into that category of soul and Prakriti. So I think and you said that by respecting envious, I mean the tendency of enviousness gets dampened down. So yeah, thank you, Pro. So not to walk down by he's Brahmana, it is only by knowledge. He's Kshatriya only by valor. Whatever the skills, whatever something that Krishna has empowered that individual. It is better that we respect. And of course, the superset is that because he is part and Mamayam said okay. It is naturally that we should respect him. Okay, Pro. Is that my understanding correct, Pro?
Yes. And one additional thing. In general, we find that when we respect somebody, what we respect in them over a period of time becomes our own asset. If we respect, like say, for example, the industriousness of the other person, that, hey, you worked hard and did this, we also get the ability to work hard. If we get to know that, hey, you took 1 rupee and you made it into 10 rupees, and this will make us also know over a period of time how to make 1 rupee, maybe not to 10 rupees, but to 2 rupees or 5 rupees, something like that.
Yes, Prabhu. I think, and that principle is what Vedic literature encourages us to meditate on the qualities of sadhu, and so that principle can be applied to outside as well, whether it's a industrialist or any other things. Yes, that's a very nice point. That is the principle being applied into the
Prabhu, your network bandwidth is low. We are having breaks in your voice, Prabhu.
Sorry, Prabhu.
Yeah, now we can hear you, Prabhu, but
No, I said
previously.
thank you very much. I said what Shamkun Prabhu said that uh, when we respect those qualities of like multiplying that. So I was saying that the principle that was being used here, that we meditate on the sadhu's qualities, and by meditating on sadhu's qualities, we get those qualities. So that is the principle Shamkun Prabhu was mentioning in general life. Thank you.
Thank you. I just want to add a few more things. Yeah, I'm just elaborating what Maharaj said. So the way Maharaj brought about was that there are this Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra. Brahmana is respected on the basis of learning. Common way of understanding learning is somebody who just has a lot of information about many things in this world. And many times devotees think a devotee is learned if they can quote so many shlokas, if they can weave an interpretation across multiple scriptures. But Maharaj consciously guided us that a learned person is one who exhibits that knowledge in his character by respecting another's wife as mother, any other position as a lump of dirt, and all living beings as oneself. He quoted Chanakya Pandit. This is not necessarily from the Vedas per se, but it is Chanakya Pandit who says this. Just to put this in perspective, for most of you, it may seem very simple because you all are from a culture, coming from the Vedic culture about this. But if you go to some other religious cultures, it is not at all apparent that this has to be done. It is understood in some cultures that a woman means she has to be subjugated. A woman has to listen to what the man says. And just her body has to be used by a man for whatever he wants. She can be a cook, or she has to clean the house, or various other things, despicable things too. And in that is the greatness or the liberation of a woman, second class citizen, so to say. On the other hand, if you take the Vedic culture, uh, when any sacrifice is done to, not even just the process of chanting the holy name, but when we do any sacrifice, the woman or the wife carries a darbha grass in her hand, and she touches the husband of the darbha grass, and she authorizes the husband to do it. And when the husband is, before he lights the fire, it is the lady who has to actually do the arch, put the water into the hand of the husband, and then she lights the fire. So the lady lights the fire, the husband says the mantras. It is to that extent that the Vedic paradigm respects women. And it is doing so to give an impression right from the beginning that in all places, right from starting the fire all the way to the end of the day, she's important. So, it, I mean, I like the greatness or the thorough, thoughtful way in which Krishna's arranged of the system, and we're so fortunate to be born here. And it is unfortunate that there are so many cultures in this world that just doesn't understand this particular aspect. And the advantage of this having such a culture itself is that when a woman is respected to this extent, that even invoking the Supreme Lord into the sacred fire requires that the woman sanctions by touching the darba grass on the husband, that she actually lights the fire, and it's a joint work between the husband and the wife. The husband says the mantras, the woman lights the fire, the woman cooks the what's called the havish anna, uh, an offering made of rice, and brings it, and the husband puts it into the fire. It's a joint work. This way of this methodology here brings about something higher, which is do not see a lady as an object of enjoyment. And proper culture requires this. If you go to the West, especially, how are women seen? That this, a body of a man is meant to enjoy the body of a woman, and vice versa, both of them. Whereas the Vedic culture is the body of a woman is meant to help the body of a man to please the Supreme Lord together. They both come to please one central entity. Whereas in other cultures, it is I please your body, you please my body. But actually, they want to please their own mind. That's the way it is. So this ingraining of this culture that whenever the mind decides or whenever the mind wants, let me enjoy the body of the opposite sex, immediately we have to come back to this aspect of culture. Another's wife is my mother. And the example that I have seen so far, which really touches me, is that of His Holiness Rompad Maharaj. He has many disciples, lady disciples, and come what may, many times he doesn't call his disciple as, he can just call that so-and-so Dasi, or he can just not even use the name Dasi. He can just call by name. He says Mataji. And not just that, especially ladies who are of his age group, 60s, 70s, etc. Even when he says the word Mataji, he bends his body a little bit, he bends his head a little bit, and then says Mataji. To that extent, it has gone ingrained in him to respect women. So a guru can order a disciple, but he is transcending that by the instruction given by his own spiritual master that a woman is a Mataji. That's the greatness of example that we see in Maharaj. And innate in it is either it's a mother or it's somebody else's position. It's what Maharaj said and what he shows in his life. Do not covet the property of others. Some of you who might have been, as a young child, your mothers might have told you, it was very common in my era. I think your mothers would have also told you that when you go to a temple, if possible, give something to the temple, but do not take even a grain of sand and bring it back. Of course, we know that when we go to Vrindavan and other places, we bring the dust of Vrindavan. But the point that was being taught as a cultural point by our parents is that to saintly persons, especially, and to temples especially, give, but do not think that because I have given something, I deserve something back. No, it's a culture of giving that the Vedic scriptures put in us, and without feeling that I am entitled for something. I am entitled for respect. I'm entitled for value because I have given. And you all might have learned in your various cultures that when you give something, what the right hand gives should not go to the left hand, which means we should not even speak about it because speech happens through the mind. So when I give in the right hand, the signal goes to the brain that I have given, and then it goes to the left hand, which means I can even end up speaking about it. And in the course of this series of lectures, Maharaj does bring about the point that when we give in charity or do any activity, the moment we speak about it, even any pious result that will accrue out of it is lost immediately. And more so if we find fault in some other person and say, this person didn't do this activity properly. So that fault comes to us, unfortunately. So we have to be careful. It's a cultural aspect that's being brought about here. Number one, this is about the woman. Number two, about the Brahmanas. I think it's 7:15. I'll speak about the Brahmanas tomorrow. Dear Lord Prabhu, you have your hand raised.
Prabhu, that Darbhagra, something you said. What is that? Maybe I am not familiar if it is there in my culture from where I come from. So,
There's a kind of grass called the Darbha grass. It's a pointed grass, it's pointed in one end, it's flat at the other end. That's used for all the home.
so during marriage ceremony, something is like you use for something. Husband and wife, they use something.
So whenever you do any sacrifice is done, first what they do is you take the priest gives the darbha grass, and the yajamana, the person who does the sacrifice, he has to sit on a mat of darbha. He should not sit on the floor. And so as a symbolic way, they just give one or two grasses and say you keep it at your foot. That is number one. And then the darbha grass is given to the wife. The wife touches the grass, and then the other tip, the tip of the grass touches the husband. And when she touches it, which means she's part of it, she's authorizing the husband to continue the sacrifice. And it was for this reason that when Mother Sita was sent to the ashram of Valmiki, when Lord Ramachandra used to perform the Vedic sacrifices, he used to do it every day. There is the Aupasani, and he used to do many more sacrifices because it was Treta Yuga. That's the era of sacrifice. To do the sacrifice, he kept a golden image of Mother Sita next to him. That's the thing. Okay.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Yugala Kishore Prabhu, you want to add something or correct something, please do.
No, not Prabhu. Just one questions you quoted. You give an example of His Holiness Ramapad Swami Maharaj. He even calling his disciples, Maharaj is calling his disciples as Mataji. And when Bhujan Prabhu was here, he was even calling some younger girls. Maharaj always quoted, Maharaj always says Mataji. So sometimes, but we see that senior
We cannot hear you, Prabhu. Yugal Kishore Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Now, yeah.
Yeah. So I do not know until what part we heard, Prabhu.
You said sometimes we that one, like some Burijan Prabhu's I think you quoted, and then we could not hear after that.
No. Oh, sorry. Is it better now? I'm sorry, today somehow some problem. Is it better now?
Yes, Prabhu.
Yes, Prabhu.
Okay, so I was saying that seeing these wonderful examples of senior devotees calling their juniors or disciples as Mataji, sometimes we see that senior Matajis calling other junior Matajis by their names instead of adding the suffix as Mataji, or just by calling by Mataji. How do we understand that?
Nice question. That too, we'll have it tomorrow. And we will ask our ladies to say something about it, our Matajis to say something. 7:20 today. That's why I'm thinking we can have it tomorrow. Is that fine, Prabhu?
Sorry, Prabhu, I do not know whether you heard me or
I heard you. I said, since it's 7:20, this question too, shall we have it for tomorrow's discussion?
Yeah,
I think Jay.
Hare Krishna.
Okay then. Thank you. Thank you all for joining the session. We will join tomorrow.